Hello, everybody. Look who's here.
Hi,
Eileen
everybody.
Davidson of The Young and the Restless. Thank you for being here
My
on our
pleasure.
late morning or Eastern time, early afternoon chat.
Right.
But you, once again, are turning in fantastic performances
Oh,
in
thank you.
the story of Ashley's Altars, which takes Ashley's mental struggles to a whole new level from
Right.
what she had before. And of course, my first question, I know I read something about you and Josh Griffith that talked about this, but is this something you wanted to do? Or did he come to you and say, we're going to have altars, we're going to have dissociative identity disorder?
Um,
How much did you know?
okay. Considering the story that was written last fall where Ashley was misremembering what had happened with Tucker in Paris, I think Josh was kind of trying to figure out, where to go with it. And it's been a little tricky because I come and go. So is that me or you? I have to apologize to everybody if there's
I
weird
actually think
noises.
that was me. So you
Oh
don't
my
have
God, Michael. Good. I'm glad
I
it's
think,
you.
I think the mail, somebody, hey, you've got mail.
Your generation is showing.
Yes, it is.
That's what I tell my husband when he says something like that's like completely horrible. I go, your generation is showing.
Generation showing. Okay, so you.
Okay, anyway, so I think he was trying to figure out, because I come and go. So he's his hands are tied somewhat because he knows that I'm only going to come for a short period of time, or I'm going to stay longer, or whatever. So we were talking and about where to go with it, and we brought up Ashley's mental health issues. And that was something that he wanted to explore. And I did too, because I think it's one of the most interesting things about the character. Everybody always talks about her being so strong and so together, and they don't like seeing her weak. I'm like, Ashley's never been strong and together. She's had issues from the gate, out of the gate.
Years. Yeah.
Right, forever. She had amnesia. She went, she had all sorts of issues. So that's an interesting part of the character. I love her fallibility and her vulnerability. So anyway, so I think he got inspired by that. He decided to create the DID,
Dissociative
identity disorder. And I was like, I love it. I was like, oh my God. He came up to me on set. He goes, this is what we're doing. I went, oh, wow. I've never done that. And honestly, at this point, I wasn't sure I ever would get the opportunity to explore something like that. So yeah, he first of all, he told me it was like All About Eve. And I went, All About Eve. And I walked away. I go, that's interesting. Isn't that about an understudy that tries to take over an actress? Why would he do that? And then he runs after me. He goes, no, not All About Eve. The Three Faces of Eve. I went, okay.
Three Faces of Eve. Right. Right.
Anyway, so, I mean, I really enjoyed it. And then I told him at one point on set in the morning, because he's always there for blocking. I said, please just keep it coming. I said, I live for this. It's great. So I've loved it. I loved it. The teenager was, Ash was a little bit of was actually the most difficult one, because I didn't want to do anything too broad, too teenagery. It was challenging. So it was just trying to be honest about somebody who's kind of young and sees the world in a certain way and is perhaps defensive and, an angry teen, which I've had one recently. So I understand all that.
Well, and then, so did they say, okay, so like with Ms. Abbott, right? She's obviously the controlling one. She's the controlling, isn't she?
You can say it.
Yeah, the bitchy controlling one. So did you have her kind of defined in your head, or did you what was the process you took to figure her out in the portrayal?
It wasn't hard, it wasn't hard for me to figure her out. It was in the very first time she was introduced on paper. She's in Tucker's hotel room. She breaks in. I'm like, okay. And she's sitting in the chair, and it says kind of like a Sharon Stone type moment. So even though, the characters are not at all the same, there's something about that energy that I felt pretty comfortable embodying that. In control, kind of toying with the man, kind of knows how to put on vulnerability and softness to get what she wants, but is always in control. And her ugly side shows more and more as the story has been coming out.
Right, we're literally seeing that now. She really wants to Tucker killed him. She wants him killed.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. I went, okay, all right.
I was wondering what you thought of that, because her plan is to get rid of him.
Right. Well, again, this is the most fascinating thing about DID, and what I kept trying to inject into the performance is these alters are created to protect somebody. So they all believe they're protecting Ashley. Ash is, Ms. Abbott is. Oh no, that was me. I tried so hard to turn that off. Whatever, it's a mystery. Anyway, so she thinks the way to protect Ashley is to kill Tucker because Tucker's caused Ashley so much pain. So, I mean, from that aspect, plus it's good daytime drama. I mean, remember that's what we're doing. This is not a documentary about DID. So I'm trying to keep it as honest as I can. And I'm sure Josh is as well, and the writers, but you're walking a fine line. This isn't a documentary about mental health, but it is trying to inform the audience in a certain way and stay true to the subject matter as best as one can.
Right. My theory, and again, this is a theory, and I could be completely wrong based on what you just said. I was thinking, are we going to discover there? I'm wondering, for her to split this way, is there some deep underlying something that happened to her that we never knew about?
Well, you would think so, right? Yeah. I mean, why not? She's, Ashley, the one thing that's true about Ashley is that she had a traumatic childhood. Her mother abandoned her when she was very young, and then found out in her early 20s that her father wasn't her biological father. So who knows what happened,
Right.
And whether or not they choose to explore that, I'm not sure. Everybody has their own modus operandi of how they run a show and how they write. But again, it's interesting, and why not? You have to keep kind of reinventing things to keep them interesting. And I think that stands true for characters as well.
Right. And I'll go by the classic one of all time was Erica Slezak, who played 6 alters on one.
Oh, really?
It was 6. Yeah.
Wow.
There was a teenage boy, Tommy. There was Princess, the little girl. There was Jean, the controlling character. There was Tori. Nikki was the wild one. So she had these alters. And what we learned, we're like, why did she splinter into? We knew she had one alternate personality before, but then we learned she was abused by her father. It never had come out. She was sexually abused by him. And that's what spawned all. She couldn't face it. And then she protected herself with all these things and couldn't face it. So that's why I keep thinking with Ashley, I wonder if there is something that we don't know that happened to her. I don't know, but maybe I'm too deep.
No, you're not. That's that's an intelligent conclusion to come to, because I believe that is exactly what happens. It's usually in somebody's younger years that something happens and is covered up, as a way of dealing with it, is just kind of like pushed down. And then that's when they splinters off. So again, it's had to be a little bit, creative, artistic, license, so to speak. But we'll see. Who knows? This could all tie up beautifully. I really don't know at this point, to be perfectly honest, but I would love that at some point.
Right. I would love to see you get to do something like that, because it kind of ties it together. I was going to say, when you found out, so her whole problem started with in Paris with Tucker, not remembering the fight. And then she saw flashback to the car accident, right? Because she got in a car. Wasn't there things, the car accident from years ago? Didn't she flash back to that?
At one point, yes. When she lost the baby.
Right. So
that triggered her,
right,
thinking that the baby blanket was a baby. And by the way, I just had a baby. I had just had my son at that point. It was like horrible to have to do that story. But anyway, she had just had that baby. I mean, wait, she had lost the baby, and that triggered her, having that breakdown.
But wasn't she in an accident recently, and it kind of triggered her to remember that?
Yes. She was in the car, but it was a minor one. But what it did is it kind of just like jolted her. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what kind of started the spool out.
But mostly the whole Tucker thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I am so apologetic to everybody in the world. I'm so embarrassed.
Well, Beth says, Beth, who's with us, her work has been every bit as good as, if not better, than Joanne Woodward in 3 Faces of Even.
Oh my goodness, that just got chills for that.
And Sally Field and Sybil.
Wow, thank you so much.
Carolyn is saying, great actress, love her as Ashley. Pam says, love her portrayal of the different personalities. Leslie saying, Eileen phenomenal, awesome. I believe she should be nominated for an Emmy next year. We'll see that. Yeah. So
See,
see,
are
there
there
you
a
go.
lot of really horrible ones that you're just not reading?
Telling you guys.
I know. I get it. Listen, you take the good with the bad. I know. Or the bad with the
Well,
good. It's okay.
no, there are no bad ones.
It's okay.
No, but back
All right.
here. But so what? What does Ashley? What do you think the real Ashley? Does she think? What does
She's
she?
not a real person, though, Michael. I just want to tell you that. She's not real.
No, but
She's a character.
Ashley
I'm
Abbott,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
the character of Ashley Abbott. What does she think of Tucker?
At this point?
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't even know. You know,
Yeah.
like is
Well,
she,
we haven't seen that much of Ashley, but I would think that it's an unsettling feeling because she has extremely conflicted feelings about him. He represents a difficult time, but also she was madly in love with him, you know? So, and I think it's a lot of confusion attached to that, a lot of confusion as to not sure of how she feels about it. Now, that was you. Not sure of how she feels about him, right?
right? How is working with Trevor?
I love Trevor. I adore him.
I mean, you
adore
guys are
him.
great together, and I was wondering, you know,
Thank you.
he's concerned. I mean, the character of Tucker is concerned about her.
Oh, listen, well,
He's like the only one going, something's wrong with her.
I
Something's wrong.
know, I know, because they have like an incredible bond with as it was written last year, and hopefully how we played it was that they had something really special where they truly understood each other on a level that was unlike anything Ashley had, and apparently him as well, Tucker. I love working with Trevor. I just told him recently, you breathe fresh air into the scenes. We work well together. We don't really know what the other one's going to do, but we play off of each other. There's a huge trust factor, and there has been from the get-go. When I first started working with him, I told him, I said, we got lucky. Because I didn't know if, you know, that you're lucky or you're not when you meet somebody out of the blue and you start working together. And we just had something, and it just worked beautifully. And I think I always know that when I work with Trevor, it's going to be terrific, a terrific experience.
So, Belle, how did you decide you were going to play her? Like, she's the Southern, they gave you like, she's the Southern.
Right.
What did they give you on paper to kind of what you.
Right. Well, they gave me Southern, flirtatious, like tequila. And I was off to the races. And always looking for a guy, you know. So she's just like, you know, it was fun. It was really, really fun for me. And I have to say something because the accent it was not something that I listened to tapes or I was, because it's not Susan from Days of Our Lives. It's a completely different Southern thing. But I didn't want her to sound like she's from the South completely, because Ashley's not from the South.
Right.
It's just a persona of how Ashley thinks a Southern person sounds. So she's not playing a Southern character. She's playing a personality that thinks she's Southern. It's very different. By the way, when I was doing this story all the time, when I've been doing it, it headaches because there's so many things to follow. I'm like, oh my God, this is what this one does. This is what that one does. Blah, blah, blah. It's been crazy. I'm printing out 3 copies of each script when I know. And I have to say again, you know, Lisa Williams, who was my double during the Days of Our Lives, is my double during this as well as Wendy. Wendy has been an amazing help too. So I had these 2 incredible women helping me out.
So do you think, so is Belle the good time girl then? Is she like the good, how do we see her? Is she like the party?
She likes to have fun and she likes to party, and she believes I think this is aired, the best way for Ashley. Yeah. The best way for Ashley to get over Tucker is to fall in love with somebody else. I mean, just keep it simple. You know, find a new dude.
Find a new dude. Do you see Christopher Cousins came on the show?
Mm-hmm.
So we've all loved him from before on One Life to Live and other stuff. How is it working?
I loved him from Breaking Bad. I didn't know him from One Life.
Yeah. He's great in Breaking Bad too.
Yeah. Terrific.
So yeah. And you met him in the audition process, or did you meet him?
No, I met him on set.
And so I guess they extended his visit because it went so well, but people really like him. She's trying to manipulate him, correct?
Yes. Right.
What is her goal? To throw him off so he doesn't analyze her and figure
Well,
out.
which one? Belle wants Ashley and Alan to get together. Be perfect. Right. And to distract him from diving in too deeply into her psyche. Ms. Abbott doesn't want anything to do with him because she sees him as a threat. So
There's a lot more to the story I know coming up. I heard there's like a lot going to happen. What has been the hardest part of this to play for you?
I think what I said, just keeping everything straight, because a lot of dialogue. I had one day, Michael had 60 pages of dialogue. 60. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying it was like 55. I'm saying it was 60.
But when you did Days of Our Lives, wasn't it like that too?
That was a long time ago. And 60 one day and 40 the next, and then 40. And I was like, my brain, I told people I had like a bag of potato chips for brains. I just couldn't even, I was like, huh? I couldn't even, it was a lot. We all had a lot that week, all of us. Chris Cousins had a lot that week. But I think it's turning out well. I mean, Chris was a great fit. We've had a great time working together, and it was really fun for me. It's been like, this whole storyline's been like I know I said it about Trevor, but the whole thing has been like a breath of fresh air for me from having done this for so long to be gifted with something that's really challenging and really fun and collaborative and exciting. You know, it's been really fun for all of us, I think, to be a part of this. I've had so much fun working with Beth. Beth and I have had the most amazing time being together and being on this journey with each other. And I love her so dearly. And that I've got chills. I'm going to cry. I just love her so much. And she's been an incredible support system for me during this storyline. And she's so shy. She shines in this. She's so amazing.
And you can tell she's like trying to figure it out and helping her sister. And it just is so amazing, like a sister.
Yeah.
Do. Like, I believe her. And the
fact that there's all those notes in it, it's not just these personalities and aren't they fun? It's also the depth of the emotion and the one thing I will say, and I want to address this, is that I'm really sorry that Melissa hasn't been more involved in the storyline, Abby, because Abby and Ashley are extremely close, and I'm not sure what the reasoning is for that, but I wish she had been involved more in the whole thing.
Right, because the daughter would go, "What's wrong with me?"
And she is involved to a certain degree, but I mean, I love Melissa. So any excuse to work with Melissa, you know.
So Marla Adams passed away, and I wanted to get your thoughts on Marla.
I'm just, you know, to have had that time together when she was working with the Alzheimer's storyline. And she was so appreciative and grateful to be back on the show and doing such beautiful, moving work. It was an honor to be there with her during that time. And, you know, my best to her family and all the fans that love her.
Yeah, it was just so weird. You know, after she passed, I went back and watched my talk with her on the red carpet at the Emmys. And my mom passed away 1 week before the Emmys of Alzheimer's.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
A week before the Emmys of Alzheimer's, and then she was playing out the Alzheimer's, Marla, and so she knew what I was going through back in like 2017, and she was holding my hand really tight, and we had these really private conversations about it because she was understanding about being a caregiver for somebody and all of that. So we had our own little thing back then, which was, looking back on it, was extraordinary.
What a gift, yeah.
You know, so
by the way, Marla, by the way, was just such a broad. She was such a broad. And she was just terrific, talking about her old Hollywood stories. And it was an honor to work with her and just to know her.
But was Ashley affected by her mother disappearing? By Dina not being around?
What do you mean, when she was a child?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I mean, I think we played that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Sure. A lot of bitterness and anger.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what happened? Who knows what happened? Because I mean, poor Dina, that character, just like Dina slept with everybody at the club. I mean, everybody. After the fact,
everybody.
We're just inventing everything for poor Dina. But yeah, so who knows?
So I was just going back through some of Ashley's mental breakouts. So at 85, that is when she found out about Brent Davis being the dad. And that's when she ran away to a diner and lost her. She thought she was Annie at the diner, right? That was when she had the trauma. So that was the first time she had like hysterical amnesia.
Right.
I think the first thing. Do you remember that story in the diner?
Yeah, of course. I remember looking at the mink coat and it had AA. And so she decided she must be named Annie. For some reason that stands out in my mind. And I remember the diner, and I remember shooting out in Griffith Park at 2:00 in the morning with the trucks that had rain. It was like rain trucks. And Ashley's trying to climb up the hill and it was all muddy. And they had all this rain falling on her. They loved it. I was the heroine of the show. So it's like they always had rain on me. I was always being rained on. And constantly. And so I'm trying to climb up and I kept sliding down because it was so muddy from the rain, the fake rain. And I had all these guys, grips and whatever, prop guys were down below trying to push me up. I mean, it was insane. I remember about that storyline, wandering around, the amnesia. Yeah.
And then in 86, that's when she opted to have an abortion. That was in the rain. There was a big scene in the rain with
Oh, yeah.
But that was a classic scene.
Right.
That was a classic. And that's when she begins to hear the imaginary cries of a baby later, right? That she goes, right? And then she has a complete mental break.
Right.
And then she goes
to mental break because the man that she loves rejects her because of a decision she made. Clarify that.
Right. And then she ends up in the mental institution as Jane Doe.
Right.
And she's treated by Stephen Lasseter.
Yeah, Rod.
And God then bless. Yeah. And then she gets released from there. She marries him, and then he gets shot.
Yeah. She's had a rough life.
She says not. Yeah. And then in 2003, she's pregnant with Brad's baby.
Right.
And then the car accident happens, and she blames herself and loses the baby.
You know?
Was that in the rain?
Let me think. No, that was not in the rain.
And that's when you had the baby blanket.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she thinks is Robert.
It's Robert.
So she's not well. She's not well, everybody. She's not strong. She's not together.
I'm really reading this. And in 2009, Ash and Victor, Adam delivered.
She got gaslitted. Hello? She got gaslit by
Adam. That was
fell down the stairs.
Horrible.
She was losing her mind again.
That was horrible. And then there was
the baby. Thought Sharon's baby was her baby. Yeah. I love these things when I hear from people about how it's terrible to see Ashley, who's such a strong, capable character, going through this. I'm like,
these are like, I'm reading through the history, and it's very clear now. 2009 was the last, so 2010. So this has been.
But I've been coming and going too. I was on days during that time. I was gone for several years. So yeah.
So Ray says, in my opinion, Miss Davidson, you are one of the most gifted actresses in the history of television.
Wow. Thank you.
And Citizen Morgan, we love the multi-talented Eileen Davidson from both Y&R and Days. You set the standard for any actress to follow in your shoes.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
There are no bad comments here. These are all really good comments.
Okay.
So what can you tease? Is she going to go through more? Like, you don't know?
Get really good. It's going to get really, really good.
Is it getting really good? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. It's just very juicy stuff. Very juicy stuff coming up.
And in your, like, if you had your druthers, how would you love this all to end for her? Do you want her to keep being multiple personalities because it's fun to play?
The only thing about that, and I felt that way when I was on Days too, I think that has a short shelf life, personally, because it's like you have to try to honor the truth of what DID is, but it also has to be entertainment, and we work so fast, so it's difficult to achieve all these things, to make it really as good as I would like it to be under these circumstances. So I think, like on Days too, when I'm playing all those characters, I think you got to small doses, a few months, but then you always know you can harken back to it later if you want to or need to. It's part of the character. So
I mean, would you be okay? Let's say the story wraps up and they get her healed, and then she goes back into arguing with Jack over business stuff. With that, that puts you right back to that.
Oh, Michael, that's an interesting question. I'll have to think about that one.
See, I'm wondering
How you come back from that.
how you come back from that, because it's like,
You need to seek help. You need to seek help, clearly.
right. And hopefully we'll get to see her seek help, because even Sally Field and Sybil, she went to seek help, right? And we all figured out,
Yeah.
they all went to therapists and figured it out.
Right.
I just don't know how far they're going to go, and I know you can't tell us, but
I'm not sure either at this point. We'll find out together.
Eileen, was it jarring as an actress for you? This is from Artifact 11. For you and Beth, when Terry Lester left the show and was replaced by Peter, was it jarring for you?
I wasn't on the show.
She wasn't on the show, Artifact. Okay.
Brenda was I think playing Ashley when Terry left.
Mm-hmm. So you had not worked with Terry, or you
I worked
had
with Terry in the 80s.
80s. Yeah.
And I didn't work with Peter until I came back in 2000 or 1999.
Did you happen to see Peter's episode with Melody Thomas Scott?
I didn't. I saw parts of it, and he was amazing. So was she.
They were amazing. Like, I've seen almost everything, and I was like blown away by it.
Wow.
It was a 2-person thing. What is it like working with Peter in the brother and sister relationship?
It's amazing. I mean, we just fit. We just are a great brother-sister team, and we always have been. I was again so lucky to. He was very different from Terry. His Jack is different from Terry's, but terrific, compelling, wonderful, and we have such a great sibling relationship that's based on love, but also we get really pissed off at each other. So it's got all of the whole spectrum of emotions and feels.
Did he say anything to you about Ash and Ms. Abbott and Belle? Did he ever say
he was enjoying the whole thing so much, really loving it?
He watches everybody. He's a student of, like, he watches.
He does from his dressing room. He puts it on and he watches everybody's performance as we're taping. Yes.
I think that's pretty great. Like, that he takes time to do that and sees.
He's pretty much the mayor of Genoa City, He's like the mayor. He's like.
Now, what about at home? Is Vince running lines with you when you're playing the multiple?
Vince is the mayor as well. Is he? Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? Of course he's running lines with me. Absolutely.
Has he seen you in these roles? Does he like one of the alternates better than the other?
Absolutely. He's like, he goes, he knows how tough it's been. So he's been like really available to me and running it as much as you, honey, as much as you need. Let's run it. But then he throws me off because then he tries to do the voices. I said, please don't. Don't do the voices, because that completely throws me off. I go, she's not that, or he's not that, or don't do that. Don't do that. I know. Yeah. But he's an actor. So he's got to just, and then I got Jesse. Jesse helps me as well. Jesse's always available to help me with, well, wait, not always. What am I saying? It's a lie. If I guilt him into it, he'll do it.
If I guilt my son.
He told me once when he was like 13, he said, if you were a superhero, guilt would be your superpower.
That's a son mom thing to say. I think I said that to my.
I said, good point. You're right. I know. So yeah, so they both have helped me, and they always have, and they always will.
When you look back at this, and when you look back at Days of Our Lives, I'm sorry, and the multiple roles compared to this, that was harder. Days?
Was that harder?
It's still the classic all the time. Like
I'll tell you why it's not harder, because they were very completely different people.
Yeah.
So I was putting on a completely different person. With this, I'm playing a character who has these different personalities. So they're all kind of Ashley. They have Ashley qualities, and they're not real characters. They're figments. So it's like, it's a weird mind. You know what I'm going to say next. It is. It's just like a real mind.
Yeah.
Game. It's
crazy. You're right. Those are 5 distinct characters at Days of Our Lives, and you're playing the same.
Very different, with different voices and different personalities. And these are Ashley. They're different aspects of Ashley. So it's a whole different thing.
Like Jean's like Nikki Vicky. Yes, I was talking about Erica Slay's like Nikki Vicky.
Right.
It is like that. Yeah, it is like that. there's been some successful, like Erica's DID storylines on the soap. Were you at all trepidatious about doing this? I know you said
Uh,
you were really excited to do it, but at some point
uh,
in the process, were you like, "Oh God, what did I get myself into?" Or were you enjoying the process?
well, absolutely, because I want it to play. I want it to be good. I want people to be entertained by it. And also, I'm trying to honor what DID is as much as I can and keep it away from being like some kind of a possession or some kind of an evil entity. It's not that at all. I think a lot of people might think that about DID. It has nothing to do with that. So trying to keep it more like it's protection. They're trying to protect the psyche. But I decided that it's written different. It's written by different people than we're writing it for Erica or whoever else. It's being acted by somebody different. It's a completely different storyline. So it's singularly itself. It's not anybody else's. It's just mine with Josh and these writers and costuming and makeup and hair, and who've done an amazing job, by the way. Really terrific job.
They're great. Yeah.
And I had a lot to do with that, a lot of collaboration, which has been, thank you. So you have to let it go. Every time you go out there and you put it out there. I mean, I played Thomas Banks. If I could play Thomas Banks, I can do anything.
So right now I'm putting up one of Belle's outfits.
Oh, isn't that fun?
Did you help pick that?
Oh, yes.
It's great.
Yes, I found that dress actually.
You did?
I did.
It's great. It's really great.
It's fun for me to be able to play Ashley this way too, because Ashley's kind of a little bit more buttoned up. So
yeah. When you won, so you won 2 Daytime Emmys. The Daytime Emmys are coming up in 3 weeks. What do you recall those 2 nights of winning? I know one you were completely surprised. I remember
the last one.
The last one. You were stunned. I remember your reaction.
I forgot to kiss my husband. I just ran up there. Yeah. What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
My question is when you won for Days, what do you remember about that night and then getting up there to accept the award? Was there anything?
Oh, one thing, I had a housewife crew in the lobby. Talk about pressure. I wasn't even on the Housewives yet. It hadn't been finalized. They had just said, I said, yeah, I'm nominated for an Emmy. It'd be fun if you guys could if you want to just tape me getting ready and see what happens. And they're like, we're like, well, you're not really on the show yet. I go, I know, but whatever, if you want to. And no big deal. And then they decided yes in the 11th hour. So I had that pressure waiting. But you know what? I'll tell you, I know exactly how I felt about that. First, it had been such an amazing experience working with Martzoff and having Chris Weitzel's writing that year. I loved that year of writing because I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I went on the show. That's another story. But I happened to walk into this amazing situation. And I felt that whether I won or not, I had done really amazing work that nobody had really seen from me before. And that's fun to really pull something out of your hat and go, ta-da, look what I can do. You know what I mean? It was like fun. And to get to revisit this character after, a lot of years, it's like 20 years, right? Or 15 years or something. Anyway, so that was really fun. And I just felt really calm about it. I thought I had a pretty good chance, but you never know about these things. You never know. And then as far as the one where I was surprised, I remember the other actors were so terrific, and it seemed as I remember their work was much more bigger. It was more dramatic. And mine was about the Alzheimer's. It was quieter and more, it was just different. So I don't know. I felt like theirs was more,
showy.
Well, I don't want to say that because they're great actresses. So I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. You're saying that, Michael. That's not very nice of you. Gee, Michael.
I'm not saying that, actually. It's not. No, I meant.
I'm going to call Nancy.
No, Nancy.
So I just, I thought I was lucky I was gifted, happy to win one. And so, yeah, I was shocked when I was nominated for that.
It was one of those quiet, simple things, which sometimes works really well with voters, right?
Maurice Bernard told me he voted for me. I was, oh, thank you. He told me that on his show, by the way. So this isn't a secret.
Yeah. Oh, when you went on the show and you talked with him. Yeah. How was that going on there?
Oh, that was gut wrenching. Wow. I love him for that. I love him for what he's doing. I love him for normalizing speaking out about mental health. I just love it. It's everything for people to be getting help when they need it. Anyway.
Which Ashley needs too.
Yes, which brings us back to that.
Ashley, you don't think she'd end up with another guy because of Belle? Like, would she fall into bed with somebody and not realize what she did?
Why not? Sure. Could.
Any people you think would be good for her?
Sure, there's Alan. I mean, and then there's Alan. No, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Sure.
Where does this kind of rate in all the storylines you've done in soaps? With this one particularly right now, is this one of your favorites, or you can't say that yet till it's kind
it's one of my favorites for sure. Like I said, it's stretching me, it's challenging me, it's collaborative. It's been difficult, but it's been really fun. I've really looked forward to going to work and doing some of these characters and scenes. It's been very fun for me to have the freedom to play a teenager. What? It's just been really fun in that aspect for sure.
We're all thinking there's going to be a man personality.
Oh, right. I don't know. Colleen's kind of done that,
I know. And somebody just said, we would love to see Miss Davidson and Miss Zank together on screen.
So would we. I love Colleen. She's just such a lovely human being, and she's terrific.
Before?
I never knew her before.
You did not?
I met her in the hallway when I said, oh, hi. And I didn't recognize her at first. And then I left, and then I ran back up to makeup. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was just spacing out, but yeah, when I registered who she was, I was like, oh my God, she's so terrific. And fun. She's a lovely person.
So fun. Jeannie's bringing up Thomas Banks. Oh my God. Remember when Thomas came back was it Beyond Salem when he was the shooter?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
What can I possibly say about that? Yeah. I mean, that was fun. That was fun. I remember going out on set when I was doing the Spanx thing, when it's the reveal that he's got all the equipment covered in Spanx and the whole thing, and they're doing a reveal. And I went out there and I told the producers, I said, I think I'm rethinking this. They're like, it's too late. I don't know. I mean, come on, whatever, Oh
my God, we've got a lot of people loving Thomas Banks here. Jeff has loved Thomas Banks.
I love him too. How can you not love him? Plus, I got to work with this amazing makeup artist. What is his name? Ed. Anyway, he was amazing at what he did. And he thought about Thomas Banks when I was not there. He'd come back in a couple of weeks and say, I know what we need to do. We need to do this over here. So he was like obsessing about Thomas, which was amazing, I mean, literally, he had done all the Star Trek movies, so he was like phenomenally talented.
I mean, literally, I'm thinking about this. There really isn't anybody who I think you probably had the most fun. Look at all the characters you've gotten to play in daytime.
It's incredible.
Insane, incredible. Like, I don't know any other actress or actor that's played 5 over here, 3 over here, done this here. It's right. Pretty. I bet you never thought.
Well, I remember when I was starting out my career, I always said I felt like I was a character actor trapped in a leading lady suit. Always, because I always gravitated kind of to the crazier, more offbeat roles. That's why I could actually look at Thomas Banks and say, okay, I'll do that. It could be, it has been embarrassing and maybe not exactly the right choice, but I have no regrets. And I love them all. And so it's been fun for me to be able to be my true self creatively and not just play this one, even on different shows, heroine, whether it be on Weinar, Days. That's how I started on Days, was as the heroine, and Santa Barbara. I could have been pigeonholed very easily. So I'm grateful to all these crazy writers who have seen something and let me run with it.
What was Santa Barbara like looking back on it?
Wow. Well, I got to work with Kim and and Jack Wagner and so many wonderful people on that show. I was only on there for maybe a year, but it was an interesting experience. Always good when you can, stretch your wings and work with different people in different environments. I think I like that personally.
Well, Eileen, I thank you so much for taking the time.
Michael.
Hey, I love talking to you. I could talk to you for 2 hours. We'll have to change the subject.
Yes. Oh, you don't want to talk about me for 2 hours? Well, I'm gonna do that.
The altars for 2 or 3 hours. But we're really looking forward to seeing what happens next with Ashley, Miss Ash, Miss Abbott,
you.
and Belle. Everybody, you can catch Eileen on The Young and the Restless weekdays on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming along on this ride.
Yes. All right. We'll see you
care.
soon, Eileen. Bye.